Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of It Goes Off. I'm Andrew Gaze, this is Grantley Bernard, and round 19 Grantley proved to be a bit of a disappointment for the Townsville Crocs. They were in a bit of a disappointment.
A bit?
They'd won 8 out of the last 10, and then unfortunately on a big weekend, a weekend where they could really have made some inroads as far as making the playoffs, they went over to Perth and got pummeled, 28 points, only scored 52 points in the contest. Terrific defence by the Wildcats. But then they backed it up with another 20-point drubbing at the hands of the Wollongong Hawks. Very, very disappointing.
Running in mud.
And given their form of late.
They had been fantastic. And you would have hoped they would have put up a better show against the Wildcats than they did. They did a good job against the Wildcats over there only, a fortnight ago.
Lost at the buzzer.
And then coming back, I guess it was always going to be tough backing up against Wollongong. But having said that, you know, Wollongong's been ripe for the picking for some time.
Well, they are.
And if you're going to make the playoffs, that's probably one you wanted to win.
Wollongong, though, made a bit of a statement, I think, because they're showing that they're going to hang around and do whatever it takes to try and win their way into the playoffs. But Grantley, talk us through all the winners and losers in round 19.
Certainly, well, those Wollongong Hawks, they started off on Friday night on the road against New Zealand Breakers, and that was an 8-point loss, which is a pretty good effort. The Breakers 92, the Hawks 84. Mika Vukona with the game of his life, 24 points on 11 of 14 field goals. New Zealand was 23 of 30 on free throws, so a pretty handy edge there. Sydney Kings 75, the Cairns Taipans 78. Ian Crosswhite, 21 points, 10 boards for the Kings, who shot just 3 of 14 outside the arc. For the Taipans, Alex Loughton, 17 points on 7 of 9 field goals. Aaron Grabo had the go-ahead free throws, and then Loughton sealed it from the free throw line. Harvey had a 3 to tie at the end, but missed. Perth Wildcats 80, Townsville Crocodiles 52. Matt Knight had 14 points, 13 boards for the Wildcats. Perth won the rebound count 46 to 30. Luke Neville 11 points for the Crocs, only scoring double digits there. The Crocs had 28 turnovers. Cairns Taipans 68 lost to the, wait for it, Adelaide 36ers 71. Cam Dragar had 14 points and 14 rebounds for the Snakes. The Snakes were 1 of 20 on 3-point field goal shooting. For the Sixers, Anthony Petrie had 18 points, 8 rebounds. The Sixers put together a 26-10 fourth quarter on the road. Jason Kadee hit the winning 3 for the Sixers. Melbourne Tigers 82, the Perth Wildcats 85. Johnny Flynn had 24 points and 7 dimes for the Tigers. For the Wildcats, Kevin Lish 16 points. The Perth Wildcats shot the lights out on this one, 13 of 24 on 3-point field goals, and they closed out the Tigers with a 30-19 fourth quarter on the Tigers' home floor. And finally, the Wollongong Hawks 86, all over the Townsville Crocodiles 62. Adrice DeLeon sealed Player of the Week honours with 28 points. The Hawks went 13 of 22 on threes. For the Crocs, Todd Blanchfield, 13 points and 12 rebounds. And I know you've got some pretty strong thoughts on the Crocs from the weekend.
Yeah, they didn't help themselves, did they?
They stunk it up.
They didn't do well. But one team that did do well is the Wollongong Hawks. I know you wrote them off because, and why wouldn't you? Because of the injuries they've had have just been horrific. But they're showing a lot of fight. And although they went down to the New Zealand Breakers, they went down in a very tight contest over there and a fantastic win at home against the Crocs. So maybe you, Grantley, may have went just a little bit too early on the Wollongong Hawks because you look at this run home. We're going to have a look at that a little bit later on.
Let's just wait and see.
All right, we'll wait and see. Let's take a look at the table because the all-important table as we start to get to the very, very pointy end of the season. New Zealand Breakers, lock it in. They are the best team in the competition at the minute and will remain on top for the rest of the season unless there is an absolute capitulation.
So what you're saying, they'll remain on top unless Perth go top? Is that what you're saying?
Well, unless they shoot themselves in the foot. Okay. But Perth right there playing some good basketball. They were impressive on the weekend against the Melbourne Tigers. 7 of 8 in the last quarter from the three-point line. Just fantastic stuff. The Melbourne Tigers had control, I reckon, of that game against the Perth Wildcats at home for 75%, 80% of the game. As we mentioned, the Wollongong Hawks hanging about at 10 and 13, as are the Sydney Kings at 10 and 13. Townsville looking like they were in the first 10 games of the season where they went 0-10 on the weekend.
You've really jumped off, haven't you?
Well, I was on strong last week, but just the
You
fashion.
have jumped right off.
28 turnovers against the Perth Wildcats, and then to go down. I know they had the travel and all those explanations, but then a bit disappointing against the Wollongong Hawks. They got 20-point loss there, and reading the report, really never in that contest. And the Adelaide 36ers showing there may be just a bit of fight in them, and they're not just going to peter out for the rest of the season in that tight one over the Cairns Taipans. Now, Grantley, it's that time of the week where we love to get the opinions. We bounce around a few ideas of some of the hot topics that's going on around the INET NBL in a little segment we call
Kick It Off!
Nice. This week we're going to start with the Sydney Kings. They're 10-13, lost one they should have won against the Cairns Taipans. Similar to the Melbourne Tigers, they were in control of that game against Cairns for a significant portion of it, but then the Cairns overran them in the last quarter. But Corin Henry out, had wrist surgery last Wednesday and out for the remainder of the season. Big blow.
It's not good. I mean, the Kings really need all hands to the pump now, and he was one guy who could handle the pump.
And you know what? When he was good with the pump was in the dying stages. When the game was on the line, he would pump it up. And he would be able to create something off the dribble and get his teammates involved, and they really lacked that. And you know, I noticed that during the Cairns game, particularly when he's up against a superstar like Jamar Wilson, that is the Kings, it really did stick out, his absence. But one of the things I want to ask you about is the rule. Now, when he went down, the Kings only had 6 games remaining, and the rule is you've got to play 7 games in order to qualify for the playoffs. But in that round, so in round 19, we're now at a situation where some teams have played 3 more games than the others.
Yep.
Now, I think you've got to have some rules, and there's no perfect system, but I think we should be erring on the way of allowing talent into the competition rather than just having these anomalies caused by the fixture. What's your take on it?
I think it is an interesting one from the point of view that some teams have played fewer games and some teams have obviously played more games. So that, say for instance, the Kings lose their man and they can't replace, but another team
that played less
could
games.
lose their man and they still could replace, but it's the same date on the calendar.
It is. And I guess if you do have a calendar date, one of the things it will be is that some teams will say, well, hang on, we've got more games to play. But the point I think is that when you get down to that end of the season, it's usually not the games that's going to be the cause of an injury. It's usually because you're training. These accidents happen in training in different environments. So all those types of reasons, I just think that maybe if it was, well, whenever the team has the last team to have 7 games remaining that date, something like that, because to me, I just feel a little bit of injustice because it's a legitimate injury to Corin Henry. They can't have him, and not only that, they can't even replace him, have someone in to come in to play the remaining games, and don't qualify for the finals. So it's just, I'm just not sure we got that rule right, and there's no perfect system. No perfect system.
Well, if anyone can change the rules, it would be you.
No, I know these are.
You've got a lot of influence.
It's not.
You've got a lot of influence. I think if you feel strongly about something, I think you should campaign for it at board level.
Hey, one of the great things about the Sydney Kings has been the form of Ian Crosswhite.
You got off that pretty quick, didn't you?
I don't think he is actually getting the recognition that he deserves for the season that he's having. I think under the tutelage of Shane Heal, he has really found his niche. And he is playing, he's a double-double waiting to happen every single week.
And look, I can understand that, under the tutelage of Shane Hill, one of the all-time great centres in the NBL.
No, but it's just about finding the role for individuals.
I am being facetious.
Okay, good.
But look, Crosswhite has been sensational. His recent form in his past 5 games, he's averaged 18.2 points per game at 72.5% shooting, if you don't mind, 8.6 rebounds. That's against his season averages of 10.5 points and 7.5 rebounds. So that's he is doing a pretty good job for a Kings team that is just not probably given back the rewards that, for his work.
Yeah, but well done to him because coming across from the Cairns Taipans, coming back to his old team, doing some great things. And Grantley, given that we are getting to the very, very sharp end of the season, we need to have a look at the run home of all these teams. And it starts, let's have a look on the screen. You see New Zealand Breakers, their run home. I mean, let's not even worry about them. Lock them in. They're okay because they are going to win, I would think.
They'll only finish first if Perth don't.
And Perth, they will either finish first or second, but highly probable that they'll finish second. Now we get to the real stuff, though. The Melbourne Tigers. Let's have a look at it. And you've got the analysis here. Just break down the Melbourne Tigers, Wollongong Hawks, Sydney Kings, and Townsville, and just prepared to put the line through Cairns and Adelaide.
I can't believe you've done that.
Talk to me.
Melbourne at 10 and 11. Their remaining games are Perth away, Wollongong home, New Zealand away, Townsville away, Cairns away, Townsville home.
Tough.
Now, very tough when you've got to play Perth and New Zealand 3 times and 2 of them are on the road. However, they've got Wollongong, Townsville and Townsville. So
their fate's in their hands.
Teams that are in that playoff picture with them, they're going to be the important games, as will be Cairns away.
So if you've out of these 2 teams, and you can see the run home of each, the Wollongong Hawks, I don't think that is a good run home. And although you're prepared to write them off, I think I am leaning now, changing from last week where I thought it was the Townsville Crocs given their form.
So you had written them off.
Well, I just hadn't written them off, but I had some reservations. Given the way they're playing, and you look at this run home, I think they might get there.
I think if you have a look at their run at 10 and 13, they've got Adelaide at home, Melbourne away, Townsville away, Sydney home, Adelaide home.
There's 3 wins at home they should get.
There's some very winnable games there. The Melbourne-Townsville games on the road are going to be the crucial games.
And Sydney's run home is not terrible either, given although they got Perth twice, but if you consider Townsville twice and Wollongong, their fate is still a little bit in their hands as well. Very hard to tell, but crystal ball at Grantley, tell me in your opinion who is going to make it. I think it's going to be New Zealand, Perth, Melbourne, Wollongong. What are you going with?
Look, I think just to have a look at Townsville's run home as well. At 8 and 14, they've got Cairns away, Sydney away, Wollongong home, Melbourne home, Sydney away, Melbourne away. Out of all those games, they can inflict damage on the other playoff teams.
Yep.
If they can win games, if they can win those games, Townsville makes the playoffs. I am going to go out on a limb.
Please.
And I'm going to have Townsville in the top 4 still.
Wow. Now, Grantley, we've had our say, but we also love to get the feedback from the viewers at home. And the best way to do that is hit us on the social media. Andrew Gaze 10, Grantley Bernard is our Twitter handles, or go to @NBL Twitter handle. That gets a bit of traffic. And also the NBL Facebook page, which is going off. Everyone jumping on there, so I don't know how they work at the young folk, but get on the NBL Facebook page. And we've got some great prizes to give away in a little segment we call
the Mark Zuckerberg Minute.
Lovely. The prize this week, and it's an absolute belter, NBL TV. We're going to give away a subscription to NBL TV, but not just for the remainder of this season. You get it all the way through until September. So you'll get Boomers games, there'll be international series. You'll be stuck in your computer just watching the hoops. But it's a wonderful, wonderful prize.
Playoffs.
So that is on offer. Playoffs, of course, absolutely, the remainder of the season. And let's start off with Alex Tigani. Is that right? Tigani. It's been 20 years this summer since the great Remus Kurtinanis brought his magic to the NBL. Clearly, Alex Tigani is Lithuanian. My question is, when will we start scouting some more Lithuanians? I knew it was coming, particularly since their junior side, born 92-93, has won 5 gold medals in international competitions since 2008. So I think that the crux of the question there is the Europeans instead of the Americans. Right now we are littered with American imports, and that's generally the grounds to go to. The biggest problem you have, Alex, with that is that it's hard to compete economically with the local Lithuanian or the local Italian players because their leagues pay big bucks.
Big more. Yeah, and that's the bottom line. I mean, the top 10 Lithuanians, from the junior team are going to get looked after, whether it be in Lithuania, whether it be elsewhere in Europe. They're hot commodities, and in reality, we don't have a chance of recruiting top-line European players.
One last one. Jay Hurl's the first of his name. That's his handle.
You are so smooth.
Jay Hurl's. Well, it's all one. All right, you say that then.
Jay Hurl's the first of his name.
Only because I've said it. All right. My question is, which Australians in college basketball today will be in the NBL next year, and why? And is Matthew Dellavedova good enough for the NBA? Grantley, your opinion.
I think he's going to be around the mark. I think that I don't think Dellavedova will get drafted by the NBA, but I think someone's going to give him a shot as a free agent.
I think he is a chance for the NBA. I don't see it in the next 12 months. I think he needs to develop, go away, play in the NBL, play in Europe, get some more experience, because he did some extraordinary things at the Olympics last year, and he would have come under the radar, certainly, or is on the radar of most of the NBA teams. And he's doing some good things at college basketball, but just might need a little bit more experience.
Has he found that jump shot off the jump stop yet?
He goes all right, doesn't he? Hey, I'll tell you who else you want to look out for is Brock Modem. Again, I'm not sure if he's going to come out to back. He's playing at University of Washington State. 6'10", left-hander, played at the World Championships with the juniors 4 years ago. You've also got Mitch Young, who plays for St Mary's, playing alongside Matthew Dellavedova. He would be a good one. Another one is Ryan Brockhoff, a Victorian kid that's playing over at Valparaiso. 6'6", 6'7", good athlete. He's coming back. I mean, off the top of my head, I think if all those players come back into the NBL, they would have a very, very big impact on the competition. So he's hoping we see that. Grantley, there's good questions there. Your decision now on who's going to pick up the NBL TV subscription.
I would just have to think that given you absolutely slaughtered the guy, and it was a pretty good question anyway, I think the prize should go to Alex Tagani.
Alex Tagani, I thought Jay Hurl's the first of his name was not bad either, but okay. Prize pack, NBL pack coming your way.
NBL TV.
NBL TV, fantastic stuff. Now, Grantley, big, huge, we say it every week, huge round 20 coming up, and good folk out there need to know where they can go catch some high-quality NBL action.
And it very much is a case of quality over quantity this week with only 4 games on the slate. On Friday, it's the Perth Wildcats against the Melbourne Tigers. That is on 1 at 9:30 p.m. On Saturday, the Wollongong Hawks against the Adelaide 36ers. And another Reptile Rumble, the Cairns Taipans against the Townsville Crocodiles. On Sunday, the Perth Wildcats again against the Sydney Kings. That one is on 10 at 2.
Yes, check it out on Channel 10 or 1 on the Friday. Some good games, or NBL TV. They just got their act together and putting together some quality production. Grantley, as we do every single week, we like to say thanks to help us out and do some wonderful things for the INET NBL. And it all starts with a naming rights sponsor. And that is, of course,
INET.
Connect Better.
10.
And 1.
Sporting.
And fun.
And Virgin Australia.
Virgin Australia. That's all we have time for this week. Very good work for you. We've been tough conditions here. It is hot, but no hotter than the NBL action going on around this great country of ours. So get out there and check it all out. We look forward to your company next week on the #1 podcast in the universe. And you know what it's called? It's called this. It Goes Off.